The world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance, has been appointed as a crypto regulator advisor to multiple countries. That's like if the UN put Trump in charge of advising on an investigation into different country leaders' levels of corruption. But what the fuck happens to the crypto market in different countries' economies when the crypto company under the microscope becomes the microscope and becomes the person holding the microscope? You're watching Macromind and I intend to answer those questions. With the crypto market ballooning and fluctuating more than Elon's baby mamas, it has become impossible for country central banks to ignore. And for more challenged economies with Mickey Mouse currencies like El Salvador, Bitcoin has become a genuine lifeline for central banks and government financing. According to BitcoinTreasuries.net, there are 12 countries that have Bitcoin reserves, although that list is definitely wrong because it's well known that Norway and the UAE also have Bitcoin reserves, and therein lies the first problem that there's no transparency of government ownership of Bitcoin, which is ironic given the supposed blockchain transparency crypto provides, not to mention the whole point of Bitcoin is to provide a decentralized fixed supply currency that cannot be manipulated by the government. Binance are claiming to be the official yet secret crypto advisors to multiple countries' sovereign wealth funds and their respective regulators for policing crypto activity. But less than 2 years ago, Binance pled guilty in the US to failing money laundering and international sanctions laws and paid fines of $4.3 billion with its co-founder and former CEO Changpeng Zhao going to prison for 4 months. Don't worry though, Binance didn't rehire him because he went to work for the Pakistan and Kyrgyzstan governments instead. Good to see that Pakistan, a country where 80% of its population don't have access to clean drinking water, will still be able to buy the dip. And if you were curious about Binance's current management, they replaced Zhao with Richard Teng, who's definitely gotten Binance on the right track. The track to more fines, that is, as the French regulator is investigating Binance for money laundering and terrorist financing laws it broke between 2019 and 2024. But back in the US, Binance was supposed to be under a 5-year monitoring program after paying its fines. But since Trump came into power, the SEC decided that's not cool anymore and stopped its investigation. Coincidentally, this was around the same time Trump announced that the US would create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which is an interesting phrase to use because create implies they didn't already have one. But they did because the US holds billions of dollars of Bitcoin which it's confiscated from various US criminal proceedings. At the same time, Trump's family crypto pump and dump scam used Binance as its main platform for investors to be able to own and trade cryptocurrency. It makes you wonder if Binance CEO Teng has actually gone from being under investigation by the US to being the US's inside man for understanding the cryptosphere and all the ways that it could be beneficial to the president and his buddies. That might sound conspiratorial, but Richard Teng said recently that Binance had benefited greatly in the past few months from policies coming out from the US. This speaks to the first possible outcome here that Binance will advise very lax regulatory frameworks for countries to implement, which would be great for Binance as it gives them the freedom to continue to be sloppy on its compliance and anti-money laundering measures, since that's an expensive problem and one that costs banks billions of dollars to solve and maintain year-round. Central banks do not understand Bitcoin or blockchain, their education is in old-school classical economics, and that certainly doesn't touch on why fiat currency and interest rates are bad, and why a decentralized cryptocurrency is better. Their education also doesn't mention anything to do with digital architecture required to manage any system like that. That means central banks are entirely at the mercy of what Binance tell them in terms of crypto's potential application, the infrastructure needed to have it safely integrated into an economy's financial system, and the regulatory framework needed to maintain it. Because governments have no fundamental understanding, they can't argue back. Binance will have the opportunity to set the tone with each country's regulators on how exchanges are to conduct themselves in the market, which Binance have a truly stellar record with, which is why in the UK they're facing a class action lawsuit totaling £9.9 billion for potentially colluding with other crypto exchanges Kraken, Bitterlicious, and Shapeshift in 2019, when they collectively delisted a crypto called BSV, which caused the market value to crash and wiped out all investors' funds. Whilst Binance are busy advising countries on crypto, they're likely to push Binance as the go-to platform, meaning governments will use it for trade execution, and Binance is likely to be given leeway over other crypto exchanges when it comes to marketing to consumers. This has been a challenge for Binance so far, as the UK regulator blocks Binance from marketing to retail investors in 2023. Ultimately, it appears Binance will become an incognito rule setter and police force for cryptocurrencies around the world, which is good for Binance, but poses real risk for retail investors and actually reduces the likelihood of cryptocurrency being adopted into the wider economic ecosystem, since the lack of safety protocols and stability makes corporations worldwide hesitant to integrate cryptocurrency into their business due to the potential crimes and currency volatility they might unintentionally expose themselves to. You can see these concerns reflected in the market when you look at how the price of Bitcoin has actually fallen since January, due to Trump pausing major crypto investigations, relaxing regulation, and releasing his own meme coins. All that being said, if you still have diamond hands, why don't you absolutely annihilate the like button?